Hello, Writing for Children class. We're going to talk about like the kind of thing we would do if we were together. In our Starting the YA unit is I brought you a couple of books. I'm going to tell you about two of them today. And okay, I'll tell you the titles. Raziel Reed, When Everything Feels Like the Movies. Very controversial book. Makes for interesting to get you sort of thinking about stuff. Good material. And this one, which I've taught before in the course, instead of doing the Marrow Thieves, I think I did this one last year. Ron Cortege, Koertge. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's called Stoner and Spaz. Okay, so I thought I would just read a little bit from the beginning of each book and talk about what's going on. So the thing about Stoner and Spaz that's so interesting is that the narrator, 16-year-old Ben Bancroft, has cerebral palsy. And remember how we talked about foils, right? So he sort of makes friends, but it's a very reluctant friend who doesn't want to be his friend, with this a girl who's like the bad girl at school, but they end up getting kind of stuck together and they become super close. Okay, in fact, he gets a little crush on her, but that's later in the book. Okay, and they meet at the Rialto Theater, which is a theater in their small town. So I'll just read you a touch. Since I've been pretty much treading water all day, the marquee of the Rialto Theater looks like the prow of a ship coming to save me. I limp past the cleaners, the paint store, Cityscapes Furniture. I step up to the ticket booth, a real one, out in front where it's supposed to be, not buried in some mall next to a Foot Locker. And inside sits Mrs. Stensgarden. Her dress has flowers on it. She single-handedly keeps the rouge trade alive. She wears huge earrings like starbursts. Hello, Benjamin. Her finger hovers over the red button. 1. Since it's Monster Week, do I get a discount? She glances up from the horoscope magazine she's been reading. I don't think I understand, dear. Just a little joke, Mrs. Stensgarden. Forget it. Okay, that's all I need to read you from that book, but you see there's already something happening and something being revealed about our narrator. Okay, so this boy, one thing is the thing about he limps, that Mrs. Stensgarden so well described, right? She's not an important character at all in the book, but she's associated with movies, and there's going to be a lot about movies in the story because he loves movies. And she says to him, 1, hello, Benjamin. So we find out his name. He doesn't have to say, hey, my name is Benjamin, and I was born on such and such a date. We just meet him in, I think I used the Latin term with you in class, in media res. So the action's already going on in the story. Good thing to do. And we see also his sense of humor, super important. If you can make your character a little bit funny or a lot funny. So, and what I love about this boy is he laughs at himself. Since it's Monster Week, do I get a discount? Okay? And the ability to laugh at yourself. I don't know if we've talked about it in this class. It certainly comes up in the nonsense class. Like there's a lot of people who are really good at laughing at others, but can you laugh about yourself? It's a very nice trait and makes people, I think, likable to us. Okay, still have a couple of minutes. So When Everything Feels Like the Movies. So this book by a young writer, Raziel Reed, and it's published by, it's a small publisher. Let me tell you the name of the publisher. It is Arsenal Pulp Press in Vancouver. And I know that Orca had turned the book down, and everybody heard afterwards about all the companies that had turned Raziel Reed down because the book went on to win a Governor General's Prize. And it was very controversial because the kid in the book is like gay, teased, and boy, the language, and he's not just, gay, regular gay, he's like, whoa, very flamboyant. So the kind of book that would make parents uncomfortable, right? Okay, so I'll read you a little bit, When Everything Feels Like the Movies. He reminds me a bit, have you been watching Sex Education on Netflix? Because I've been watching it. And he reminds me a bit of, well, in much angrier, but he has a little bit of the Eric character. Sex Education, by the way, another comment, but take a look because really understand, I think it does a great job of capturing sort of teenage angst and all the stuff, and for sure all the sex stuff, which you're now allowed to write about, as you will learn from this book. Okay, so just a little bit. Oh, it's based on a real story about, now I'm giving away a little bit too much of the plot, but a boy who was killed in the United States, a boy like our narrator. I would have gone down for a pair of Louboutins. I think they call that head over heels. Okay, are you getting this? Sexual references. Starting again. I would have gone down for a pair of Louboutins. I think they call that head over heels. But the closest I ever got was kissing the feet of celebrities in tabloid magazines. My mother's closet was basically a sex shop. It was full of costumes and shoes which she wore to work. That's work in the original sense, although she worked for a living, and that's spelled W-E-R-K-E-D. I'd take a pair of her shoes and wear them down in the basement, pretending the cement floor was covered with a red carpet and the washer and dryer were paparazzi. I hope the conspiracy theory that the iPhone camera lens is the all-seeing eye was true. Big Brother is watching you. Perfect. I loved an audience. Ray caught me once. It took me a while to notice him standing in the laundry room doorway because of all the white spots in my eyes. When I blinked, my world coruscated. He didn't say anything, just stared at me and then shook his head, turned off the light, and went back upstairs. I stood in the darkness, barely feeling my feet bleeding from the patent leather heels, which were too small and dug into my skin. I didn't care about the pain. Okay, enough, but you get a little bit of the idea. So we were talking about how anything goes in YA. So a character like this, a kind of like, whoa, this guy's really like talking about, the first line of the book is a reference to oral sex, right? So you can take on any topic that you want. Some people felt that that book should not have got the prize, the Governor General's Prize. I read it immediately and I found it a very, very powerful book, but you could see that there certain parents might freak out if their kids were reading it. But I guess I'm in favor of I think also when we read, we get to we deal with as much as we can handle as readers. So for a kid who is too much for them, they either wouldn't get it or would stop reading. Hey, this is too long, 7 minutes, 26 seconds. Talk to you tomorrow. And then we got a note from school to remind us not to bother our students on Friday or Monday because we kind of forgot that's an Easter weekend. Okay, so one more YouTube tomorrow, and then you'll see me again on Tuesday. Okay, take care of yourselves.